Hi, I'm Lazarus, and I'm here to talk to you really briefly about self-care. So I hate the word self-care, and I think it's really overused, but we've been hearing about it on the news, and I'm sure you've been reading about it and getting tips, and people are telling you that self-care is really important, and especially with all the new restrictions that are coming up and feeling like we're, back to square one again with our kids at home and working from home and needing permits to leave the house, and it's all really, really frightening. People are starting to talk about it more and saying, get your exercise and get your sleep and get your healthy food and take your downtime and call a friend. And if you're anything like me, when times are tough and the kids are home and they're not at school and you still have to be working and putting in your hours, self-care is the last thing on your mind, and you think, I just don't have time for that right now. I'll do that when I'm not so busy again. But I just wanted to give you a quick sort of analogy on why actually, frustratingly, when we're the most busy, self-care is actually the most important. So if you think about a measuring cup, let's say it's this size, and usually your usual responsibilities are sort of filling up the cup. So let's say your usual responsibilities are work, maybe caring for children or caring for a parent, or maybe financial responsibilities, or running a household, or whatever it is. And usually the cup is, let's say, 3/4 full. So there's a bit of leeway for extra stress and extra stuff, extra responsibilities and things that come up in day-to-day life. And sometimes when that cup overflows, that's when you sort of just reach your threshold and you start to feel like you're not coping anymore. So the thing about the measuring cup is that there are things that can actually sort of create a fire underneath the measuring cup and make the measuring cup bubble up. And that's when the water will start to actually overflow, even if your coping levels would have typically been normal. So things that would create a fire underneath the measuring cup would be things like stress or anxiety, worry, uncertainty about the future, not getting enough sleep, feeling isolated. Those are the things that start to create this fire, and then the measuring cup, the water inside it starts to bubble, and then it overflows, and that's when you feel like you're not coping anymore. So in times like this, when it's COVID and the kids are home and everything's just insane, so first of all, at the first instance, the measuring cup is full of a whole new raft of things that are filling it up just in the cup itself, right? So that's more responsibilities and more pressure. And then there's more added to the fire because there's way more uncertainty, there's way more stress, you're getting less sleep, things are just really, really intense, right? So that means that there's a very high likelihood that the cup is going to overflow and bubble over. And so one of the best ways that you can contain the cup so that you don't hit that your threshold of coping is to put out the fire underneath the cup, because then the cup doesn't overflow, it doesn't bubble over. And so addressing the fire, and you have to identify what it is that creates that fire for you. So like for me, I know that it's a lack of sleep, and it doesn't matter what my responsibilities are, but if I'm feeling like I'm hitting my threshold and I'm not coping anymore, I need to get an early night. And that's self-care. So for you it might be different, but if you can try and identify what it is that's sort of creating that fire, and it's making that cup overflow, then that's a really good place to start in terms of self-care. So I hope that helped, and good luck getting through these really, really tough times.